There's a lot to this narrative. Like, there's a lot of mini stories going on here. Do we think that those were executed well? Because one of the criticisms I've heard, and I mentioned it briefly before, is that the beginning part of the movie is very slow.
Oh, the opening part is absolute garbage.
Oh, you think
and
so?
I will say that because when we were sitting in the theater, until Michael Myers starts murderizing people in what's the name of the town? Haddonfield. Until he starts killing people there, I'm like, what is this? Why are we following these true crime people, these podcasters?
I loved the true crime aspect.
I mean, maybe I just didn't like connect with that because I'm not into that true crime thing. I just thought they were pointless characters who were there purely to just give exposition and context to the audience.
That is an appropriate criticism because they did just spew criticism. Like when they go to talk to Lori, she's like, tell me your daughter, she was taken away from you. It just seemed like, okay, thank you.
I think one of the reasons I like the true crime aspect, I think it very much grounded into a modern time because a lot of time when movies are like reboots or something, they're like, look, we're modern now because I have an iPhone and it just doesn't quite work. But I feel like if we were in a time where there was someone like Michael Myers, absolutely, I listen to a lot of true crime podcast and 1,000% too annoying, exploitive, because true crime podcasts get really exploitive. People would absolutely go knocking on Laurie Strode's door and being like, do you want to talk about Michael? So for me, just knowing that kind of realm, it felt very real to me that someone would be trying to do that. And I thought it was a clever way to just be like, what has Laurie been doing for 40 years? We'll tell you.
Yeah, I don't see how they would start the film immediately with Michael without it being pandering and odd.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand the criticisms of it, but I actually liked it. And I like that they got axed off too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very satisfying.
That might have been my favorite kill. That was just brutal.
When there's a scene where Michael goes into a bathroom that one of the girls on the podcast is in, and he just drops a bunch of human teeth in front of her, and I was just like, oh, that's my guy.
I wish we saw it.
I did too. Him yanking out teeth.
You also just reminded me of something that I thought was interesting. Right before that little scene in the bathroom, I thought that it was cool that they kind of went back to their roots and actually showed Michael and the world behind the main action doing things. Like if you weren't paying attention, you might not see him beating the crap out of some guy in the background. Yeah. And there's one shot that I actually missed the first time because the male podcaster was in the forefront and the background was blurry and Michael walks by. Yeah. Because I wasn't paying attention to the background.
Yeah, and that's like a thing the first movie does a lot. Because I just rewatched it literally earlier today, and
what a champ!
There were so many moments in the film where I will say the slow start is also a thing the first film has. Because murders don't happen until like halfway through the film, and I know because I was checking the time card. I was like, wait a minute, how far are we into this film? Oh, okay, this isn't what I expected.
Yeah, I think stuff like seeing Michael walk around in the background and stuff, it does add kind of another human aspect to it because it's not like this ghostly figure where there's just a body here now. No, we see Michael does have to walk from point A to like point B like everyone else. Like he's always around doing something.
I will you also just you keep reminding me of things.
Thank you, I try.
Another criticism I did have is there was at least one instance where I was like, now how did he teleport there?
Yeah.
But again, that's kind of the suspension of disbelief. Like it's not a make or break thing for me, just like how did he do that?
He just has
now?
He has really good strategic flanking. He has a map of everyone's house.
He knows the town.
I mean, I wouldn't die.
One of my criticisms is just like, and I've had this with a lot of slasher movies and every Halloween film, Michael just ends up in people's houses a lot as if no one ever locks doors ever. And
it's a modern film, so there's not really an excuse for it.
Yeah, there was no reason that, like, at one point there was just this, probably the quickest test, there was this random woman who's just looking through her window, and Michael, like, comes up behind her into her house. Why was that woman home alone with every door unlocked, apparently?
I really like that shot, though.
It is a very cool shot.
It was a fun shot.
Just to describe it, because I was really excited about it, because I'm a dork. So this woman's sitting, like, I don't know, her window pane is the best way to put it. She walks over to it, and right behind her, in her house, you can see another window, like, leading to the side of another house, and you can just see Michael walk by, and in just one shot, without the camera moving, Michael ends up in the house and just kills her from behind.
Yeah.
Like, this movie has a really good grasp of space.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that, because in other films, it would just be like close up, medium shot, close up.
She would be walking around her house, and she'd hear like a bang on the side, and she'd turn around, and Michael Myers is in the house. But watching the whole thing kind of through like window panes is really fun.
I really enjoyed that. We're going to talk about that scene. All right. So in one of the houses that Michael goes into, he kills a woman very easily, very quickly. Then we hear the sound of a baby screaming. And I remember specifically Tanner leaning over to you, and I started whispering, "Do it, Michael."
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I may have been making stabbing gestures.
You were making these terrifying stabbing gestures. The lady to the left was just terrified, and I was whispering, "Kill it, Michael." We looked insane. And then he goes up to the crib and just walks away.
I remember seeing the theater, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's going to kill a baby. And I was like, he didn't kill a baby?
I was very excited because right before we started recording, MovieWeb did an interview with Green, and it was literally titled like, "Let's talk about that scene," or something like that. I was like, here we go. And this is what Green had to say. Why doesn't he? Because that would be so rude.
Well, so does breaking into your home and stabbing someone.
That's a very real quote.
I like how that's his boundary. Stomping someone's head in like birthday cake, that's fine. Coming up behind someone and impaling them to a wall, that's fine too. Killing a baby, that's rude.
It's not even like that's too far. That's rude. As if this has all been so polite.
Michael Myers is the most polite slasher villain.
Honestly.
He always says please and thank you with his eyes because he doesn't speak.
And then it gets even worse. Like,
oh, good.
So he says, yeah, it's terrifying in its own right. And it was a last minute decision. Like, why is there a baby in the living room? It was going to be her husband sleeping on the couch, but then he didn't show up.
Like the actor?
They couldn't get an extra?
So rather than just like not have that in there, they're like, I guess we'll use a baby.
So then they say they scrambled and put a baby crib there.
I'll take it as just like a last minute production scramble that they messed up on. But no, there shouldn't have been an ethical choice.
Does that not, like, that makes no sense, right?
No.
To me, what that scene, it made me so angry, and probably not as angry as anyone else, just because I'm weird. But they purposely are manipulating the audience to think that the film is going to do something just to be a letdown. And that's not effective filmmaking. That's lazy filmmaking.
They, over and over in this movie, they were like, Michael is pure evil. There's no good inside him. I guess there is, though.
Except for that baby.
Maybe in his mind, like, there's this thrill of the kill where...
baby can't fight.
Yeah, the baby has no, like... It has no, like, it can't run, it can't fight back, it can't do anything. Why bother killing the baby if it's not going to give him any joy? Like, even a dog can fight back.
Okay, but can we talk about how cool it'd be to see Michael throwing arms with a baby? That's an interesting perspective, but then I have to ask, like, he usually stabs people in the back when they have no chance. I mean, the only real predator-prey relationship that's kind of equal is Laurie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's true. I mean, there is always a chance that they could notice him and run. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, there are plenty of people who run from him and they somehow don't get away when he's walking, like, very slowly towards them.
Yeah, I've always liked that Michael Lumber's kind of like an old Night of the Living Dead. It kind of
he seems so
up.
tired.
How old is he at this point?
There was a few chances. I'm very glad they never showed his full face, but there's a few glimpses of his kind of like resemblance.
Stubble.
Yeah, and it's an old man. He's at least like he'd have to be at least probably like 50s.
That makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
Honestly. Well, Michael, you were almost perfect. Why didn't you just kill the baby?
Almost.
Moral of the story.
Moral of the story, kill the baby. So do we have any final thoughts on this film?
Please don't do another.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Jason Blum, don't do it. Just don't. Just don't. I know you love making money. I know you're making Happy Death Day 2, which has a lot of problems.
Oh, I'm so excited about it, though.
I discovered there's something really sinister about it that I'm not going to get into here, but that looks terrible. Just don't. Is it that hard to not make a sequel?
He piqued my interest, and he just dropped it. Well, strong words. Please stop. We love Halloween, and
Just don't.
Just take a breather. Maybe come back in another 40 years. I don't know. All right. So I have been your host, Emily Reuben, and with me has been the lovelies.
Tanner Kinney.
And Matthew Yapp.
Thank you so much for listening, and you can read all of our content at Byte BSU and theballstatedaily.com. And be sure to check out my review of Halloween, because selfish promotion, if you feel like it, you should. I don't know.
It's great.
It's good.
Thank you. I just praised it the entire time. Be sure to also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Byte BSU. It's all the same on all across every platform, and we'll be posting more Halloween content until the end of the month. So be sure to stay up to date if you like spooky, scary stuff. Thank you for listening. 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 Thank you for listening.